Story 1. You know that feeling when the music's still loud, the lights still flashing, and everyone's dancing, but somehow something feels wrong? Like an invisible hand has just turned down the joy in the air, and you can't explain why? That was my first warning. I should have listened. It was Friday, and the old Belmont house on the edge of campus was packed for Jason's house party. He'd inherited the place from his uncle, a creaky two-story home with hallways that didn't seem to end. It should have been the perfect spot for loud music, cheap beer, and bad decisions. By 11 p.m., we'd been at it for hours. Laughter, dancing, and the smell of spilled alcohol filled the air. My friends, Maya, Chris, Sam, and I were all together when I noticed it. Someone was missing. "Where's Maya?" I asked, looking at the group. Chris shrugged, sipping his drink. "Bathroom, maybe?" That made sense until 20 minutes passed, then 30. I pulled out my phone and texted her, "Where are you?" No reply. That's when the music in my head started to fade, replaced by a prickling unease. We decided to check the upstairs bathroom first. The hallway was quieter up here, just the muffled bass thumping from below. The door was closed, steam sliding out from under it. I knocked. "Maya, you in there?" No answer. I called her name again, louder, nothing. My hand hovered over the doorknob. Something in my stomach twisted, like I knew I shouldn't open that door. But I did. The bathroom was empty. No sound of water running, no footsteps, just condensation on the mirror, and written across it, in long, streaky letters, were the words, "You're next." Cold shot through me. What the hell? I called for Chris and Sam, but they laughed it off, said someone was just pulling a prank. Except the steam on the mirror was still fresh, which meant whoever wrote it had just been here. We split up to check the other rooms. Big mistake. From the far side of the house I heard it, a thud, then a faint muffled sound, like a scream caught in a pillow. "Guys, did you hear that?" I called out. Chris's voice echoed back, but strangely distant. "I'm checking the study!" My pulse was racing now. I moved toward the sound, following the wallpapered hallway until I reached a closed guest room door. The screaming had stopped. My hand trembled as I opened it. Empty. Just an unmade bed, shadows pooling in the corners. But then, another sound coming through the wall. Quick, rapid thuds, then something like whispering. I pressed my ear to the wall. "Help me!" It was a girl's voice. Maya. I ran out into the hall and shouted for the others. No answer. The music downstairs had stopped. It was only silence now, thick, heavy, like the house was holding its breath. I found Sam 2 corridors down. His face was pale. "Where's Chris?" I asked. He went into that room," Sam pointed to a door at the very end of the hall, "and hasn't come out." We knocked, no answer. When I pushed it open, the room inside didn't make sense. Same wallpaper, same carpet, but no windows, just bare walls. Chris was nowhere. We backed up fast. My heart was trying to tear its way out of my chest. That's when we noticed. The entire upstairs hall was different. The lights had dimmed. The music downstairs was faint, like it was coming from very far away. And there were fewer doors now. Most had vanished, replaced by long stretches of wall. Somewhere behind us, someone laughed. We both spun. A tall shadow stood at the far end of the hall, just standing, watching. "Jason?" I called out. No answer. The shadow tilted its head, then stepped aside, disappearing into a door we hadn't seen before. Sam cursed under his breath. "I'm not going in there." But I thought of Maya, of Chris, and I followed. Inside was the bathroom again. Same condensation. Same mirror. Only this time, 3 new words had appeared below the first message. One by one. I grabbed Sam's arm instinctively and noticed something. Steam was swirling, but the shower was ice cold. The condensation wasn't from water. It was like the air itself was exhaling a warm, wet breath. We heard it again, the muffled scream, louder. coming from behind the bathroom wall. Sam tried to find a way through while I pressed my ear against the tiles. The cries were fading, but a new sound joined them, knocking. Slow, deliberate, knocking from the inside. Too many knocks, too many hands. The lights flickered. For a split second, I saw shadows in the mirror, figures crowding behind us, though the room was empty when I turned. Then Sam screamed. I spun just in time to catch a glimpse of something pulling him sideways, not into the wall, not into the floor, but into a seam in the air itself, like a curtain being pulled shut. His fingers clawed toward me, and then nothing. He was gone. Silence. I bolted. Hallways twisted in ways I didn't remember. Doors led to the same rooms I'd seen before. Every mirror I passed had new words scrawled into the mist. 4 left. 3 left. 2 left. Somewhere, someone was counting. I never found the front door. At some point, I realized I wasn't even on the same floor anymore. The music was long gone. The whole house hummed, like something deep in its walls was alive. Then I saw the final mirror, right before my reflection reached out and yanked me in. Last thing I saw were the words, "Last guest." Story 2. Have you ever felt like you were being watched, even when you were surrounded by friends and laughter? Sitting in that flickering cabin, I suddenly couldn't shake the feeling that something out there, something in the storm, had its eyes on me. It was supposed to be the best weekend ever. My best friend Jamie's birthday, a cabin her family rented way out in the woods, and a close group of us. Me, Jamie, her little brother Alex, Sarah, Mickey, and Jen. We loaded up the cars with food and music, expecting a cozy weekend escape from school and parents. Instead, that night became something all of us would pray to forget. The weather was already turning ugly when we arrived, thick gray clouds and wind that made the pine trees groan. But inside, the fire was warm, and Jamie's laugh made everything feel safe. We played board games, drank cheap soda, lit some candles, and, when the playlist ran out, told ghost stories for fun. Lightning flashed, thunder shook the roof. That's when the power went out, plunging us into a darkness so thick even the fire barely reached the far corners. Someone, Sarah, I think, joked, "Classic horror movie timing." We all laughed, a little too loud. But then there was a tap at the glass, so soft I almost missed it. Another gust of wind, I thought. But then it came again, tap, tap, like fingernails. Alex got up to look, his flashlight beam trembling as he peered through the foggy window. "Guys," his voice shrank, "there's someone out there." The hair rose on my arms. All of us crowded behind him, craning for a view. At first, only pine branches swayed. Then, as a flash of lightning lit the yard, we saw them. 3 or 4 figures, not moving, just standing on the edge of the clearing. Maybe a trick of the light, but their faces were blurred, not just shadowed, but somehow missing. Jamie snapped, "It's just campers, or a prank. Probably the neighbors." "Neighbors?" Jen whispered. "We passed 10 miles of nothing." We argued about it, but nobody wanted to go outside. Not until the tap came again, this time on the back door. Mickey and I crept to the kitchen. Through the glass, I saw the shape again. Hooded, featureless, so close I could have reached out. Mickey clicked on his phone's flashlight and shone it through the glass. The figure vanished, right in the middle of the light, like it had been erased. We turned all the flashlights and phones on, shining them from window to window. Each time we caught a figure in the beam, it evaporated. But every time the light shifted, they reappeared, always a little closer to the cabin. Desperate, we called 911, but Jamie's phone only hissed static. "Maybe if we all hide with the lights," Jamie began. Then all the lights flickered and died. Phones suddenly shorted out. Dark again. The fire guttered as rain lashed the windows. Now the tapping came from all sides at once, faster and faster, like hundreds of fingernails on the glass. Sarah began to cry quietly. Alex held her. I swallowed down panic and forced myself to look out the window again. There were more of the figures now, maybe a dozen, pressing in closer, their bodies unclear, as if fog and rain had shaped them. I noticed then, where they stood, the grass didn't get wet, and their legs cast no shadow. Every time a lightning flash illuminated the yard, the shapes seemed to multiply. "We have to do something," I whispered. "They only go when we shine a light." "But the lights are dead," Jamie whispered. "Matches! Candles! The fire!" Jen shouted. We jumped for the matches, scattered in the kitchen drawer. As Mickey struck the first one, the flame flared up, and outside, every figure froze, as if caught in invisible strings. Then the last match died, and the room went black. The tapping changed. It became scratching. Long, drawn-out scratches, as if sharp fingers traced words into the glass. I swept breath onto the fogged window. There, written in the condensation, were fresh, trembling letters. "Let us in." Jamie screamed. The back door handle rattled violently. Frantic, we grabbed the remaining candles and huddled in a ring, facing every door and window. My hands trembled, the candlelight making the room jitter with shadows, except the shadows from the window were all wrong. They danced in strange ways, movements out of sync with our own. Suddenly, I felt the air get cold. One of the figures was inside. It had slipped through the closed door, gliding silent on the floorboards. Its face was a smear, its body thinner than a person should be. It reached for me, and I shoved my candle in its direction. The shape vanished, leaving a bitter, freezing wind behind. I heard Jamie shouting, "Keep your lights on them, don't let them touch you." We fought through the night, candles flaring, matches hissing, the storm roaring louder than our screams. Each time the light faded, a shape appeared closer, reaching. When the sun came up, the shapes had gone, the woods empty but for footprints where the grass was never wet. No one spoke. We backed out of the cabin, leaving everything behind. As I looked back, I thought I saw a face in the morning mist, obscured, watching, waiting for the next party, the next dark. Now, every time lightning flashes, I remember that night. And I wonder, when the lights go out, will they come for me again? Story 3. You ever had that moment where something completely ordinary, like your phone buzzing, suddenly feels wrong? Like the world just tilts a little, and you know you're about to see something you can't unsee? That's what happened to me the night of Jesse's rooftop party. The city was glowing beneath us, streets like rivers of gold, skyscraper windows flickering against the dark sky. Music thumped from hidden speakers, people laughed over the wind, and the air smelled faintly of rain. We'd been dancing, drinking, and taking blurry selfies all night. It must have been near midnight when the first one came. I was sipping warm beer when Beth frowned at her phone. "Weird," she murmured. "What's weird?" I asked. She turned the screen to me, a text message that made my skin prickle. "Don't turn around." I laughed nervously. "Creepy friend of yours?" Beth shook her head. "That's my number." The contact ID was her own, exact match. But she was standing right in front of me, phone in her hand. "Maybe it's spoofing," I said, though I didn't really know how that worked. "Some scam thing," Beth's brow furrowed. "My phone's dead. Has been since we got here." She turned the screen toward herself, and my stomach dropped. The glass was cracked straight through, the display frozen on 2% battery. She pressed the side button. Nothing. Dead black. So how had she just received a message? From her own number. As if on cue, Mickey staggered over, face pale. Did you guys get one too?" He showed us his phone. Same pattern, message from his own number saying, "Look behind you." More guests were murmuring now, pulling out glowing screens. Every single one had an unread message from their own number. Different words, but all unnerving. "Come closer." "We see you." "Step outside." It was getting harder to laugh this off. Jessie, the birthday girl, clapped her hands together, trying to cut the tension. Okay, obviously some prank. Maybe someone hacked the building Wi-Fi. That's when someone, not me, asked where the prankster was sending it from. And Beth, still gripping her dead phone, froze. "My phone," she said slowly, "isn't in my bag." We tore through her purse, her pockets. Nothing. Then someone pointed. There. Across the rooftop, at the far edge, right next to the low railing, something small and rectangular gleamed under the dim light. Beth's phone. It was outside the safety barrier, sitting on the narrow concrete ledge that wrapped around the building. 30 floors up, balanced on the edge like an offering. The wind made it rock slightly. My mouth went dry. "How the hell did it get there?" Mickey whispered. Better question. How was it sending texts? As we squinted through the darkness, a lightning flash lit up the night sky, and in that split second, we saw it. A hand. Pale fingers curling slowly toward the phone from beneath the ledge. Not climbing, not supporting a body, just reaching. Beth gasped and took a step forward, but Harrison grabbed her arm. "No, don't. Whatever that is, it's not playing a prank." We all stood frozen. The music still played behind us, but the laughter had drained from the air. All we could hear was the hum of the wind between the buildings. The phone buzzed again. Everyone's did. My heart slammed as I looked down. "Come get it." My eyes darted to the ledge again. The fingers withdrew, curling out of sight, and something scraped against concrete. A dry, dragging sound. Then another message. "One of you will." That was enough for Jessie. She ran to kill the music, yelling for everyone to head back inside, but a few of us couldn't look away. Beth was trembling now, tears hot on her cheeks. "It's mine," she whispered. "If I just grab it." "No," I hissed. "You go near there, you're done." Thunder rolled above us, lightning flickered, and in each flash I thought I saw more than one hand now. 3, 4, 5 of them, gripping the underside of the ledge like spiders clinging to the lip of a jar. We backed away, but then Mickey frowned. "Where's Harrison?" We spun. He was gone. Panic surged. We scanned the roof, but the party lights made strange shadows. Then, a shape near the ledge. Harrison stumbling toward the phone like he was in a trance. We shouted, we ran, but he was too fast. He reached the barrier, leaned over for the phone. The hands shot up. Pale, jointed fingers snapped around his wrists, his shoulders, his head. His scream was brief. Then he was gone, pulled over the edge without a sound of impact. Just the fading echo of concrete scraping. The phone was gone too. Out of habit, stupid habit, I looked at my phone. A new message. More room now. No one wanted to move, but we forced ourselves to the door. Jessie was already holding it open, yelling at us to get inside now. The wind was like ice now, and behind it, a whispering sound. Hundreds of voices talking at once, too low to make out. I risked one last glance as I stepped inside. In the darkness beyond the barrier, maybe 30 stories down, a shadow was pacing the side of the building. But it wasn't standing on a balcony or fire escape. It clung to the wall itself, staring up, its face a blank smear. As the door slammed shut, everyone was shaking. We didn't call the police. We didn't talk about what Harrison's family was told, and we couldn't, go near that rooftop again. Sometimes, late at night, I'll get a notification on my phone. No number, just a message. Come get it. And I know, if I look out the window 30 floors below, there might be a pale hand waiting. Story 4. You ever hear a song that sounds like it's listening back to you? Like the beat isn't just for dancing, it's measuring your heartbeat? That's what it felt like the night of the Halloween party. The night I learned some songs don't just play, they trap. I was at Carter's loft downtown, one of those big industrial spaces with exposed brick and a ceiling so high the cobwebs for the Halloween theme looked real. Everyone was in costume: witches, vampires, zombies, and the DJ, a pale, wiry guy in a plague doctor mask, was killing it. The bass was deep enough to rattle in my ribs. At first, nothing felt off, just another sweaty, loud costume party. I was dressed as a cheap Dracula, cape and plastic fangs. My friend Nina, glitter bat wings and a black dress, was chugging a drink beside me when Carter announced over the mic, "All right, for the midnight drop, DJ Moros with a special mix just for tonight. You won't hear this anywhere else." Everyone cheered. Phones went up, recording. The plague doctor tilted his head like a bird, pressed a button, and the new track began. It was slow at first. Low hums, strange chimes, a heartbeat-like thump. Then the beat picked up, deep, rich bass that made me grin despite myself. Then I heard it. A voice, not singing, whispering. At first I thought it was part of the sample, but then I caught a word, my name, clear as day, Ethan. Right in my ear, though no one stood near me. I froze. The beat kept building. Another whisper, this time something private. Something I'd told no one except one person years ago. You should have buried it deeper. My stomach turned. "Nina!" I shouted over the music. "Do you hear that?" She looked pale. "It's saying my name." Before I could answer, the drop hit. Strobes exploded, bass slammed through the floor, and suddenly Nina's body went rigid. Her drink slipped from her hand, smashing on the ground. Her eyes blinked rapidly, but she didn't move. Around us, maybe a dozen other people froze mid-dance, costumed bodies locked in place, as if someone had pressed pause. I tried to step toward Nina, but my feet wouldn't move. The whispers were louder now, circling through the speakers, overlapping, voices listing things they couldn't possibly know, things I'd never told anyone. Every time the bass hit, the decor of the loft seemed to ripple. The fake cobwebs twitched like real webs in a breeze. The brick walls stretched taller. The floor felt softer under my shoes, like I was standing on something that was breathing. I blinked, and the crowd was different. Costumes had changed. My friend Carter was suddenly dressed as something else. Even the drinks in people's hands were swapped. Then, the whisper again. "You can't leave until the song ends." When the verse looped back, the exact same movements happened again. A girl in a pirate hat twirled, tripped, laughed. Exact same laugh as 10 seconds ago. A guy in a werewolf mask clinked glasses with his friend the same way, same words. It wasn't replaying in my head. The whole party was on a loop. The track kept cycling, verse to drop, drop to verse, and between loops, the room twisted more. Lights dimmed until only the strobes burned briefly every few seconds. Decorations turned darker, more organic. The plastic skeleton by the drink table lifted its head once, whispering along with the song before going still again. My chest was pounding. I tried to scream, but my jaw wouldn't open, my arms wouldn't lift. I could only move my eyes. On what must have been the 5th loop, I noticed the frozen ones, like Nina, were gone. Just missing. Where they'd been, the shadows were deeper. The whispers started naming new people. "James, shouldn't have looked under the stairs." "Claire, your little brother remembers you pushing him." Around me, those named stiffened instantly, their eyes wild as they realized they couldn't move. One by one, they vanished when the verse reset. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw DJ Moros, still behind the booth. Only, he wasn't touching the controls anymore. His mask tilted toward the crowd, and from the beak came a faint movement, like he was mouthing along with the whispers. His gloved hand tapped the mixer's surface in time with our heartbeats. My name came up again. "Ethan, stop struggling." The drop hit, and I felt something cold wrap around my ankles. Not hands, more like cords, sinking through my skin. Pulling downward, I willed myself to move, to scream, but every beat made me heavier, sinking deeper into the floor that now felt like wet sand. I caught sight of Nina, or what was left of her, at the far end. Just her silhouette, her bat wings drooping like wilted leaves, her body swaying in slow rhythm to the music. She wasn't dancing. She was part of the track now, her whisper joining the rest. By the seventh loop, there were only a handful of us left, our eyes darting in panic, our bodies unmoving. The decor was almost unrecognizable, walls pulsing faintly, ceiling hanging lower, air thick and damp. The bass was no longer sound, it was a heartbeat I felt in my bones. Then, silence. The music stopped mid-beat. My body loosened. I could breathe again, could almost move, when the DJ finally spoke. "See you next Halloween." The lights went out. When they came back up, the loft was empty. No Carter, no DJ, no Nina. Just me, standing alone in a room that smelled like wet stone. I ran. It's been a year since. Every night, I hear faint bass under the city noise. Sometimes I wake up to find my radio on, playing nothing but static. And under that static, if I listen too close, I can hear her voice. "Ethan, verse or drop? I know what happens if I answer. Have you ever felt time stutter?" Until New Year's Eve. It was the perfect loft party. String lights over exposed beams, DJs switching sets, champagne everywhere, and 40 or so of our friends laughing and drifting between the bar and the dance floor. I was with Jamie and Lucas near the windows, watching the city glitter under the stars. 10 minutes to midnight, someone shouted. The countdown was coming, and the energy in the room was bubbling like soda in a shaken bottle. I had no idea it was about to spill into something else entirely. It started small. The first loop. I laughed shakily, thinking maybe I'd imagined the celebration, except I could still feel confetti dust on my shirt. When midnight came again, I didn't cheer. I just stared at the clock, waiting. The blast of poppers, the shouting, then blink. This time, there was more missing. A framed photograph on the wall I could have sworn was there earlier, gone. And Lucas had a cut on his cheek like he'd been slapped, even though I'd never seen it happen. I tried warning people. It didn't matter. No one believed me. And worse, when I spoke to someone about it in one loop, the second time they looked at me like they'd never heard my voice before. The changes grew sharper. By now, the fear had fully set in. Each reset stripped something away, not just people, but pieces of reality. The music warped in tiny ways. A drum beat would skip, then double back. Lyrics twisted mid-verse into words I didn't recognize, and sometimes into whispers I could feel in my bones.